I got a promotion after 6 years of graveyard shifts. I rushed home to share the news. My Emile looked me dead in the eye and said, "Don't get comfortable. This house is for her family." My wife nodded. They'd already cleared my closet. My daughter cried as they slammed the door. 3 weeks later, I left a letter on the table that made them all freeze. For 6 years, I worked the graveyard shift at a distribution center outside Seattle. I'm talking 10 p.m. to 6:30 a.m., 5, sometimes 6 nights a week. No vacations. No calling out. Just me, forklifts, pallets, and concrete floors. I'd leave when it was still dark out and come home while everyone else was starting their day. I did it because I had a family, my wife Serena and our daughter Lily. I thought I was doing it for them. We lived in Serena's mom's house in Tacoma. Her name is Doreen. Even when we first moved in, she made it clear that it wasn't my home. She let me stay there because I was the one bringing in money. But she never saw me as part of her family. She treated me like a guest that stayed too long. Serena and I had our ups and downs, like any couple. But I thought we were solid. We had a kid, for God's sake. I thought we were building something real. But I was wrong. I didn't see how far she drifted. How much distance had grown between us. I was too busy working and surviving. So when I finally got promoted to shift supervisor, it felt like everything was turning around. I'd finally have a normal schedule. I could be there for dinner, for weekends, for Lily's school events. We could save for a place of our own. I was excited. I hadn't felt that in a long time. I stopped on the way home to pick up donuts. I was smiling like a damn fool the whole drive back. When I pulled into the driveway, I didn't even notice anything strange at first. But the house was quiet. Too quiet. The living room didn't have Lily's toys out. The hallway was too clean. I opened the bedroom door and just stood there, frozen. All my clothes were gone. Closet empty. Drawers empty. My shaving stuff, gone from the bathroom. Even my boots, gone. Doreen stood there with her arms crossed. Serena sat on the bed with a cold look on her face. I said, "What's going on?" Doreen didn't miss a beat. She said, "Don't get comfortable. This house is for her family." I blinked. I thought maybe I didn't hear her right. "What did you say?" Serena finally spoke. "You've been gone every night for years. You don't help with anything. You're not part of this family anymore." I stood there stunned. "Are you serious? I just got promoted. I was coming home to tell you the good news." Serena didn't care. Doreen looked proud of herself. Like she'd been waiting to say it. "You've been emotionally unavailable," Serena added, like she was reading off a damn script. "Because I worked to keep you two fed and in this house," I said. "Because I gave up my life to support you." Doreen stepped forward. "You're not needed anymore." I heard little footsteps and turned to see Lily standing in the hallway. She was holding a stuffed animal and crying. "Daddy?" She tried to run to me, but Doreen stepped in between us and pulled her back by the arm. "Don't touch her," I said. "You're scaring her," Doreen snapped. "Leave." And then she slammed the door in my face. Right in front of Lily. I sat in my truck for hours after that, donuts still in the passenger seat, getting cold. I didn't sleep that night. Or the next one. I ended up staying with a guy I worked with. Slept on his couch in Kent while I tried to figure out what the hell had just happened to my life. I tried calling Serena. She wouldn't answer. I left voicemails. I texted her, just asking to see Lily. Nothing. When I went back to the house a few days later, Doreen threatened to call the cops and said I was trespassing. That's when I realized this wasn't just a fight. They had planned this. This wasn't spur of the moment. They had cleaned out my stuff, turned Lily against me, and locked me out of my own life. But they underestimated me. I wasn't just some dumb labor guy. I kept records. I kept receipts. I had something they forgot. 7 years ago, when Doreen was sick and the bank was about to foreclose on the house, I helped her out. But I didn't just give her cash. I refinanced the house, in my name. She was behind on mortgage payments, and her credit was garbage. So I stepped in. I did it to help Serena and Lily. But legally? The house belonged to me. I paid that mortgage for years. While they treated me like an outsider, I was the one keeping the roof over their heads. Doreen never asked about the bills. She just assumed I'd keep paying. That was her mistake. 3 weeks after they kicked me out, I left work early. Drove back to the house. Waited until I saw Serena's car leave. Then I used the code to get in through the garage. I didn't touch anything. I just walked into the kitchen, took out a manila envelope, and left it on the table. Inside was a copy of the deed. My name. Not Doreen's. Not Serena's. Mine. There was also a letter. It said, "You have 30 days to move out. The house is being sold. Buyers will start viewing it next week. You'll need to be gone." Then I printed out photos of Serena and Brian, the guys she'd been sneaking around with for months. Screenshots of their Instagram posts, dated, geotagged, and everything. She thought she blocked me, but she didn't block the burner I made. When they got home, I didn't stick around to see their faces. I didn't need to. The next morning, Serena blew up my phone. First, it was texts. "What the hell is this? You can't just kick us out. You're being cruel." Then came the voicemails. Crying. Screaming. Then calm, fake sweet. Then angry again. I didn't respond. By noon, I got a call from a blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. It was Doreen. "You think you're clever? You ungrateful little snake. After everything I did for you, you're really going to throw a woman and her daughter on the street? You're a monster." I laughed out loud. Her daughter. That's how she referred to Serena now. And not a word about Lily. Not one. That told me everything I needed to know. Over the next week, I went quiet. Didn't post. Didn't text. Didn't drive by the house. But I was busy. My lawyer filed the eviction paperwork. We had the deed. We had records of every payment I'd made on the house. Doreen? No paper trail. No lease. Nothing. I also filed for temporary emergency custody of Lily. My lawyer pushed hard. We submitted documentation of Serena's sudden relationship with Brian, including the overlap between that and my removal from the house. We highlighted the emotional disruption to Lily, how she was prevented from seeing me, how she cried when I was forced out. The judge was an older guy. Probably in his 60s. He looked through the documents slowly. Read every word. Serena didn't even show up to the first hearing. Just sent some cheap lawyer who kept shrugging and saying, "My client is not in a place to respond at this time." The judge looked at me. Looked at the lawyer. Then said, "Based on this, I'm granting the father temporary full custody until we can review this case in depth. Effective immediately." I walked out with a signed order. My hands were shaking. The next day, I drove to Lily's school. I showed the office the paperwork. Her teacher recognized me. They brought her to me slowly, cautiously, like they didn't know what was going on. Lily saw me and froze. "Daddy?" she whispered. I nodded. "I'm here to take you home." She burst into tears. Jumped into my arms. The school tried to call Serena. She didn't answer. I took Lily home to the little townhouse I was renting in Federal Way. 2 bedrooms, tiny yard, clean walls, quiet neighbors. I bought her a bed with little stars on the headboard. Frozen bedsheets. A stuffed bear. That night, she fell asleep next to me on the couch. 3 days later, Serena showed up banging on the door. I didn't answer. She screamed through the door. "You kidnapped her! You stole my child!" I opened the blinds, held up the custody order against the glass. She froze. Then Doreen appeared behind her and started yelling about bloodlines and how. "You'll regret this." I didn't argue. Didn't even open the door. I just pointed to the "no trespassing" sign and walked away. They stayed out there yelling for a while. Neighbors peeked through curtains. Eventually they left. But they weren't done. A week later, Serena filed a petition to regain custody. Claimed I was emotionally abusive. Said I worked too much and was detached as a father. Her lawyer tried to paint me as cold, unstable, obsessed with revenge. Too bad for them, I had years of text messages, photos of Lily and me at school events, holiday gifts, even her drawings. I'd been there. Even if I worked nights, I never left her life. Serena, on the other hand? Barely any documentation of involvement. School never saw her. Teachers remembered me, not her. Then it got worse for her. Because Brian, her musclehead boyfriend, got arrested 2 weeks later. Domestic disturbance. With another woman. Not Serena. Someone else. Turns out, while she was living with him in my house, he was cheating on her too. The other woman pressed charges after he smashed her phone and locked her in a bathroom. That report landed right on the judge's desk. Serena's case? Fell apart. Meanwhile, I cleaned out the house. Hired cleaners. Painters. A realtor. The new buyers walked through with wide eyes and open wallets. The house sold in 11 days. Full asking price. Doreen begged me for more time. Said she had nowhere to go. I reminded her of the night she looked me in the eye and said, "This house is for her family." Now, it was for mine. I gave her 24 hours to leave. When the moving truck showed up the next morning, she still hadn't packed. So the sheriff's deputy stood by while the movers boxed up her things and set them on the curb. She sat in a lawn chair, watching them load it all. Not a word. I thought that would be the end of it. Thought I could move on, just me and Lily, new job, new life. But the thing about people like Serena and Doreen? They don't go quietly. Especially when you take away the one thing they counted on, control. The house sale closed without a hitch. I got a wire transfer that changed my bank account overnight. I wasn't rich, but I had room to breathe. Enough to hire a better lawyer, finish Lily's room, even stash away for her future. I didn't touch that money unless it was for her. But 2 weeks after Doreen was finally kicked out, I got a letter in the mail. Handwritten envelope. No return address. Inside was a note, and a photo. The note just said, "You'll regret what you did to your family." The photo? It was Lily. At school. Playing at recess. Someone took it from a distance. Probably from a car. I could see the chain-link fence in the corner. My stomach dropped. I called the school. Talked to the principal. They reviewed the security cameras and confirmed a silver sedan had parked on the street for about 20 minutes during recess that day. Plates were covered. No one got out. I filed a police report, gave them the letter and photo. But unless someone made a move, there wasn't much they could do. That night, Lily said she saw Nana's car outside the playground that day but didn't think anything of it. So now Doreen was stalking my daughter. I had a home security system installed the next morning. Cameras. Motion lights. I gave Lily a little wristband with a GPS tracker in it, told her it was just so I always knew she was safe. I kept calm on the outside. But inside, I was boiling. So I dug. I had a buddy who owed me a favor. He used to work security and had access to some public and not-so-public records. In 3 days, he got me everything I needed. Doreen had racked up over $30,000 in debt since the house was sold. Maxed out cards. Missed payments. And Serena? She wasn't doing much better. Turned out Brian had taken out a loan in her name before getting arrested. She signed the paperwork herself, stupid, reckless. Now collections were after her. But here's the twist I didn't expect. Serena was trying to file for bankruptcy. She listed her assets, and right there, in her paperwork, she claimed partial ownership of my house. The one she got kicked out of. She thought because she lived there for years, and we were married, she had a right to it. Except we never merged finances. Never put her on the title. Never signed a joint anything. My lawyer and I jumped on it fast. We filed a fraud report with the bankruptcy court. Submitted the deed, the mortgage records, and a statement explaining that she had zero financial contribution to the property. The court not only denied her claim, but flagged it as intentional misrepresentation. That's a federal offense. Now Serena wasn't just broke. She was under investigation. It gets worse for her. Brian's ex filed a restraining order and exposed his violent past. Apparently he'd bounced from woman to woman, living off of them, manipulating them. Serena was just his next target. With all this surfacing, Child Protective Services got wind of it. Because of the custody case still being open, they looked into Serena's fitness as a parent. The CPS investigator interviewed me and Lily. Came to our home. Spoke to her teacher, the principal. Every report came back clean on my end. But on Serena's? They found she'd been leaving Lily with Doreen overnight while she ran off with Brian. Several times. 4 days. And Doreen, being unstable and verbally aggressive, was flagged as unfit to care for children. CPS issued a recommendation to the court, full permanent custody to the father. Supervised visitation only for the mother. No contact with Doreen. That hearing hasn't happened yet. But it's coming. And Serena knows it. So does Doreen. They don't call anymore. No more threats. No more surprise visits. But I still see it, the shift. From arrogant to desperate. And I know what's coming next. Because desperate people always try one more thing before they fall apart. They always make one last stupid move. About 3 weeks before the final custody hearing, I started getting these weird messages again. Blocked numbers. Your time is coming. You think you won? I ignored them mostly. But then one night, around 11 p.m., I saw headlights outside my townhouse. I peeked through the blinds. Silver sedan. Same one the school security mentioned. I went outside quietly, camera in hand. I walked up the sidewalk and snapped a photo of the plate. This time, it wasn't covered. The car sped off, but I had what I needed. Next morning, I gave the photo to the police. Turns out the car was registered to Brian, the same boyfriend Serena had claimed to be done with. But that wasn't even the worst part. Later that week, I got an email. No sender name, no subject. Just one attachment, a blurry photo of Lily playing in our backyard. The angle was from across the fence, behind the neighbor's shrubs. I called my lawyer. He escalated it with the judge. We were done playing defense. That was the final straw. The court issued an emergency order. Serena's visitation rights were suspended pending investigation of harassment and endangerment. A protective order was added against Doreen and Brian. They weren't allowed within 500 feet of Lily or my home. And then? I went on the offense. See, I had been quiet for months. I didn't post anything online. I didn't badmouth Serena to mutual friends. I just worked, took care of Lily, and gathered every damn piece of information I could. And I saved it all. Now it was time to unload. I mailed a package to her employer, an insurance company in downtown Tacoma. Inside was a copy of the fraudulent bankruptcy paperwork she filed, the fraud report, and a list of creditors she lied to. She was fired by the end of that week. Next, I sent a report to her leasing company, showing the court documents that confirmed she lost her custody rights and the ongoing protective orders. Her apartment lease? Cancelled. She got a 30-day vacate notice. With no job and no home, she had to move in with Doreen, who was already facing multiple debt collection cases of her own. They tried to get a lawyer to fight back. But by then, they couldn't afford one. Their public defender quit halfway through after Serena missed 2 appointments and showed up to court high on something. She could barely keep her eyes open. When the final custody hearing arrived, it wasn't even a fight. The judge laid it out in plain terms. I had full physical and legal custody. Serena would get 1 supervised visit per month, for 1 hour, at a state facility. Doreen was barred from any contact with Lily. Period. And Brian? A restraining order extended for 5 years. But I wasn't done yet. Remember that bankruptcy fraud charge? It stuck. The court ruled that Serena's filing was deliberately dishonest. She was hit with a $10,000 fine and banned from filing again for 7 years. She owes credit card companies over $60,000 now, and they are coming for her. Garnished wages, frozen accounts, all of it. As for Doreen, I sued her for 7 years' worth of rent. That's right. Since I was the legal owner of the house and she never paid a dime, my lawyer filed a retroactive claim. She laughed when she got served. But when she saw the court date and realized we had proof of ownership, payment records, utilities in my name, she panicked. She didn't even show up. Judgment was entered in full, over $80,000 owed to me. She filed her own bankruptcy a month later. Denied. Turns out she forgot to disclose assets from a side business she was running under a fake LLC name. They're investigating that now too. And Brian? Oh, Brian. I sent everything I had to the other woman who had the restraining order against him. Every message, photo, location ping, and court document. She took it to her lawyer. Brian got slapped with a felony charge for violating a protective order, because one of those photos he took of Lily was taken from her car. The same car registered to him, parked outside my home, less than 200 feet from me and Lily. He's now facing time. Today, Lily's doing great. She's in 3rd grade, has a dog named Cookie, and plays soccer on Saturdays. We go out for pancakes every Sunday morning. Her bedtime routine includes stories, laughs, and not a single tear anymore. She still asks about her mom sometimes. I don't lie. I say her mom made some mistakes, and the court decided she needed time to fix those mistakes before she can be around again. She seems to understand. Me? I sleep well now. Really well. I paid off all my debts. Bought another house outright, small, clean, safe. No co-signers. No shared names. Everything is mine. Every drawer. Every closet. Sometimes I think about that day I walked in the door, holding donuts, full of hope. And then I remember Doreen's face. Don't get comfortable. This house is for her family. Now, she's living in a rundown apartment, sharing a room with Serena. No AC. No heat. No hope. Serena can't hold a job. She has no license, no credit, and no control. And Brian? He's wearing orange. So yeah. I got uncomfortable. For a little while. But I took back everything. And I didn't just win. I ended them. All 3. And I did it with a smile.